Hello, my name is David Pittard and welcome to another video on my channel. Today I have some really cool content to show you. Behind me you can see the brand new BMW M2 CS Racing car. So this is the brand new 2020 entry-level customer racing car from BMW. It replaces the BMW 240i, which has been around for quite a number of years now, but obviously updating to the latest and greatest M2, and it is launched at the exact same point as the road-going M2 version was as well. So this is one of the first days the car has been debuted outside of the factory. I'm here with Walkaround Motorsport, who are hosting a customer trial day to test the car. And we've had a number of clients come to try the car, see what they think, as this is the new entry-level permit car for the Nürburgring Nordschleife NLS Championship. So the car itself, it matches the 240 in terms of its performance, because it must meet the criteria of a certain power to weight ratio to allow drivers of a Permit B license, which is pretty much the entry level permit for the Nordschleife, to qualify their laps and get their results to then get the Permit A license itself. So I've been asking a lot of people on my social media channels, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook as well, what you want to know about the new M2. There will also be another video comparing the M2 to the M4, because I think that will be a very interesting comparison, sorry. So make sure you check that video out on my channel also. However, I thought we'd just walk around the car so you can see the car in detail and see the car up close. So the M2 here, starting at the front here, in comparison to the M2 CS road car, this splitter here would normally be in carbon fiber if it was on the road car. However, because it's from a motorsport element, obviously it is a disposable item, is the best way to describe it. If the car goes off track, or if there has a small incident, this is one of the first things that goes. So to keep an eye on costs, BMW have elected to use a plastic splitter as opposed to a carbon fiber splitter, as this is ultimately an entry-level car, and you're going to hear me say that quite a few times here. Also, a difference between the road car and the race car is the bonnet here. This is aluminium, again in keeping costs down. However, obviously that does add to the ultimate weight of the car. You'll be pleased to know that the M2 CS retains its, I think, quite what's the word? Its standard carbon fiber roof. This was allowed because obviously having weight higher up on the car will make a significant difference. So by making this part carbon fiber, it adds significantly to the center of gravity. And also, I heard the BMW Motorsport guys say that if this is damaged, then generally the car is pretty damaged anyway. So it's not like it's a very often replaced item. The boot lid here is also metal as well, as opposed to carbon fiber. One thing to note is that the optional extras are the bonnet and the boots can be spec'd in carbon fiber. Same with the wing mirrors here as well, should you really want to save as much weight as possible and have the M2 in its full glory, its full performance spec. At the rear here we have a adjustable rear wing, so you can see the holes here which can use it. The car itself is not that technical to aerodynamics, but obviously this is going to add a lot of stability, especially the faster you go, especially going down the Dottinger Höhe, which is what this car is designed to do. The car comes with air jack system as standard, so all cars will be equipped with that, making it much easier to work on in and out of pit lane. The fuel filler is both sides also, so you can fill from both sides of the pit lane, whether it's a right or a left pit box, allowed in the endurance race spec, which is ultimately, this is an endurance car. These here, you may have seen, are brake inlets. These are also made out of plastic as well, to try and save costs and make it an entry-level car. The car comes on Michelin tyres. However, the size of these tyres are 27, 65, 18, so 18-inch tyres on the front, and then we have 18-inch tyres on the rear also, and these are on the BMW M Wheels, which are 9 kilos on the front and 10 kilos on the rear, making them nice and lightweight, and a number of tyres can be spec'd on them. They come on the Michelin tyres, however the Bilsterberg test that we are currently at, Walkaround have a partnership with Yokohama, so we've been running them on the Yokohama tyres as well. So the other upgrades to the car is the front brakes here. We're running Alcon upgraded, uprated brakes on the front here, but then we actually run the standard M2 calipers on the rear. So this is straight off of the road car, it doesn't need to be changed at all. The suspension is also uprated by ZF here, and they're single way dampers, adjustable dampers, sorry. So in terms of the M2, it's a little bit of a downgrade versus the 240, which has two-way adjustable dampers. However, when you think how old the M240 is now to current spec M2, there's not that big a difference in terms of the single-way dampers versus the two-way dampers. Anyways, this is a jump forward in technology going forward anyways. This is pretty much all of the external features that are different on the M2 versus the M2 CS as well. Road car, sorry. Have a quick look underneath the bonnet. Motorsport catches. So here is the bonnet, it's under the bonnet itself. So we've got the normal carbon fibre strut brace that you would find in the road car. And the only additions that are different here is a much easier way to check the oil. You have the motorsport switches up the top here, an enlarged brake and brake fluid reservoir, obviously for the motorsport application. And on this car it has remote tyre pressure sensor monitoring system, so that's just a transponder for that. In terms of the actual spec of the car itself, it comes in a number of specs. You can buy it in the Cup spec, which is 360 brake horsepower, or you can have it below that at the 280 brake, but the car is managed by power sticks, which is effectively a USB stick that plugs into the ECU, and you change the mapping and you change the power of the car. The road car of this version of this car, has up to 450 brake horsepower. So running at 365, the car is actually well under its absolute limit. And what's really cool is that there is a 450 brake horsepower version being developed at the moment, and I think coupling 450 horsepower with the M2 chassis is going to be pretty damn cool. So yeah, watch this space for that, because I think that's going to be pretty formidable track and race weapon also. The gearbox in this car is the 7-speed DCT BMW box, so straight out of the road car. The whole drivetrain is basically out of the road car, so nice proven setup, and it's not being overstrained at all for motorsport usage. So yeah, you know it's going to last a long time. Another quick thing to mention that I forgot was all of the suspension components. All the linkages are taken from the M4, and a lot of this technology has been learned from the M4 GT4 race car and applied to this GT4 race car, this M2 race car, sorry. So in terms of its responsiveness and sort of feel of a race car, stiffness, I think that will make a big difference when you compare it to the 240 itself. The exhausts are completely standard, exactly like you would find on the road car. They do run motorsport catalytic converters, so that's the main differences between the two. And I know a lot of British owners and racers are going to want to know about this, but the static test is 103 dB, which makes it eligible for loud track days, but still, when you go to Brands Hatch, for example, you're going to have to be, I think, careful on the loud pedal. Anyways, let's go and jump inside. So let's switch it on, and you can see everything turning on here. So another talking point about the car is the weight of the car. So the car weighs in at 1,500 kilograms, give or take. People are saying that's quite heavy, but it's actually 110 kilos lighter than the road car M2 CS, and that's with the addition of this big roll cage that's added into it. So it's I think people are questioning the weight a little bit, but when you see the review video, I don't think that really makes a huge difference. One of the really cool things I like about the M2 CS here is the steering wheel. It is straight out of the M4. So when you sit there with the M4 steering wheel, M4 dash, M4 control switch panel here, I think you really feel like you're in a proper race car here. That was something that Daniela Schmidt, who is head of the Customer Racing for the M2, she really pushed hard to get this interface which is very similar to the M4, and I think it really makes you feel like you're in a proper race car here with a proper steering wheel. Just going through, radio button, indicators left and right, wipers, pit speed limiter down here, drink system, scrolling through the dash, indicator again, lights. This just changes the illumination, because ultimately in a 24-hour race you don't want to be blinded by all your instruments, and this is just the wiper adjustment here. They're running the AIM dashboard as well, which is also has data logging in it as well, so there's loads of information that's going to come from that. Throttle position, brake position, steering inputs, revs, gears, speed, etc. So using the AIM data analysis software, you're going to have absolutely everything you need to analyze all the efforts of your driving to get better and better. Looking at the instrument panel here, we've got DSC and FDS. So FDS is just the gearbox mode, so that's basically shows you how slow or fast the gear changes, and it's effectively a wet and a dry mode. DSC, very similar to, if you're familiar with BMW models, you can have DSC on, MDM, which allows you a small amount of slip, and then everything off basically. So there's 3 traction control setting modes for that, which you can adapt. Generally you'd run MDM in the wet and in the dry as well, if you're maybe a less confident driver, but if you're confident with the car, you can turn everything off and feel quite comfortable in it. So standard BMW gearbox here, so just knocking it over into drive and reverses left and up. Inside, in general, you do sit quite low, and I'm currently sat in the Recaro optional seat, so this is the one with the wings on the side, which really provide a lot of support, which is really cool. One thing to note about the brakes here is not a traditional pedal box like you would find in the M6 or in the M4. It's just a standard road brake system with brake booster, so it's servo assisted effectively, so it's going to help you under your braking. And one of the big talking points I think between the M2 and the M240 is what the brakes are going to feel like. So again, make sure you check out my video comparing driving the M2 on circuit, because I think it's quite a big difference. The seat moves as opposed to the pedal box moves. There's adjustability in the steering wheel as well. So yeah, and even the sort of door panels, they're done in plastic. All of the dash is exactly the same as you'd see in the M4 as well, but just in plastic rather than carbon fibre, because the way motorsport is these days with balance and performance, the M4 is carbon fibre everything, which obviously adds expense, but then you add the weight back in because of balance performance, which kind of negates all the money you've spent on customer racing. So that's why, again, this car is aimed at entry-level motorsport. So the car starts at 95,000 euros, and then you can obviously spec the various carbon bits if you want it. There's also a hot weather pack, so that ups the radiators to allow better cooling. You can add a bigger fuel tank. It comes standard with an 84 litre tank, but you can add it to a 110 endurance tank, and you can also add a light bar on the front of it as well for your endurance races. And I think this will be a really cool little endurance car for something like the 24-hour series, obviously the Nürburgring 24 hours as well, and also UK series like the 750 Motor Club Enduro series. I think this will be really good in that. Britcar is possible, and maybe even GT Cup also, so especially with the 450 horsepower version. And I think with the power sticks, it makes it very easy for the organisers to control the BOP within each class, which ultimately what modern day motorsport is all about, is building cars and BOPing it back so everyone has a nice, fair and super competitive race. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got to say about the new M2 CS Racing. Please let me know if I've missed anything and you have any questions about the car, because at this point I've already driven the car, and obviously had a look around the car. I'm shown around the car by BMW Motorsport, so add those questions in the comments below and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. But yeah, in the meantime, make sure you check out the rest of my Bilsterberg vlog with Walkaround Motorsport, the M2 CS Racing review, and also the M2 CS versus the M4 GT4 car. That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, make sure you share this video to a friend that might be interested in the M2 CS Racing. So yeah, ciao ciao for now.